Ron DeSantis got asked about the 2020 election results and if he if he stands by the incorrect claims, the lies by Trump about the 2020 election being stolen and all this stuff. And I want to show you his answer because it's representative of what could be a major problem for him if he does officially announce a candidacy that would be challenging Trump for the Republican nomination for president, especially because his big message is the GOP has developed a culture of losing and he can win. He won, unfortunately, by a very large margin in Florida in the last gubernatorial, his reelection bid. And so he's running on, we've developed a culture of losing, I can win. But he has to clearly say that means Trump lost. And he seems to be kind of obviously saying that, but not explicitly saying it. Take a look.
You said during an event in Iowa over the weekend that the GOP needs to reject a culture of losing. Do you acknowledge that Trump lost and there wasn't all this fraud that he talks about?
Well, I look at the last however many election cycles. 2018, we lost the House. We lost the Senate. 2020, Biden becomes president. We lost the Senate in 2020. Biden becomes president, and it's done a huge amount of damage. Very unpopular in 2022. And we were supposed to have this big red wave, and other than like Florida and Iowa, I didn't see a red wave across this country. And so I think the party has developed a culture of losing. I think that there's not accountability. And I think in Florida we really showed what it takes to not just win big, and then deliver big. And ultimately, when you're doing all this, what results are you producing for people? That's really what matters. You can sit there and talk about cable news, social media, all these other things that people are fixated on. And for me, it's like, okay, what's that true north? You obviously got to win, otherwise you don't get a ticket to the dance. But once you do that, how are you going to be able to actually bring about big change to make people's lives better? Next.
So he said Biden became president. Yeah. You don't say. But Trump is saying that that was not a rightful election. That was not free and fair. And he has had years now to bring forward evidence to prove that, and he's been incapable of it. He's been completely unable to back up his claims of election fraud, but he continues to make the claims anyway. So the question to you, as someone who's probably going to challenge him, DeSantis, do you stand by those lies or not? And right there, he kind of tried to do the sit on the fence thing we've seen from many who try not to be too hardcore election denier, but don't want to make the election deniers mad. So they'll go, when asked, did Biden win the 2020 election? They'll go, Biden became president. Biden became president. Biden's the president. Yeah, we know. And we should also know that he won fair and square, but a lot of people don't. So that's the question at hand here. And DeSantis refuses to, at least at this point in time, clearly say that, because 63% of the GOP believes the 2020 election was illegitimate. So he'll make a lot of people mad if he says that. So how does he deal with that? And this is an article from Politico diving into this. It's titled, Trump puts DeSantis in a bind on 2020. Can he bring himself to say Trump lost? The Florida governor, who caught a break in Iowa over the weekend when severe weather kept Trump away from counter-programming his trip to the state, is seeking to persuade Republicans he's their only hope of defeating President Joe Biden. But implicit in DeSantis' argument that he is a more electable alternative to Trump is the idea that Trump actually lost. The fundamental problem for DeSantis, underscored even by blunter messaging from the super PAC supporting him, is that he can't bring himself to say it. So then what does he do here? If you value truth, you say the election wasn't stolen and you see if you can win. Even if you make the election deniers mad, you choose the path of morality and truth, like I said. If you're just strategic, maybe you do that for a really long time, but then that doesn't make any sense, because you have to, and you are saying with your, we've developed a culture of losing, that Trump lost, but you have to call that out to point out to the base that, hey, I'm the electable one because he lost in 2020. if that's your big message, you got to be able to say that sentence. I'm electable in comparison to him because he actually lost to Joe Biden. Why would we put him against him? Again, from Republican strategy standpoint. And this is the issue with DeSantis. He wants to be kind of a Trump 2.0 without the baggage, and doesn't seem politically skilled enough to really win over voters playing that role. And he's super radical still on policy, but the voters don't seem to be as excited about that as they are with Trump's radical positions. And he's not bold. So any unique strategy that would take courage, that maybe is not super likely, but the courage and you being bold is what will eventually allow it to even have a shot against Trump. DeSantis doesn't seem brave enough to go for that. He doesn't seem brave enough to really set himself apart from Trump. And this is a great example of that.